Well, you talk about the fact that you're 27 now, and that's touched on as well. And this whole theme that we're talking about is touched on in the record in a song called Rock and Roll Heaven, because you talk about, there's that dreaded 27 club of all these legendary artists that we've lost. So you touch on that loss in that song as well, for people that clearly you didn't know, Janis Joplin, what have you. So throughout although I certainly wouldn't, and correct me if I'm wrong, I certainly don't feel like this is a concept record. There is a thread of it throughout all the songs, just given what you were going through as you were writing, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's that's why I love albums so much, is because it really encapsulates. This is certainly it's not a concept album, but anytime you write a record, it encapsulates a time period in an artist's life. And if you give it the grace to listen to the whole thing, you're really going to be able to kind of get inside that artist's head and see where they were coming from, and, what perspective they were, maybe writing from. And I always find that really interesting. And I think that this album, it is kind of bookended. It's a very full circle record, I guess. Like it starts out very kind of heavy and dark and almost bleak. And about halfway through, there's this kind of musical shift that shows that, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and there is hope if you're willing to see it. And I think that's why the more kind of time I've had to be able to sit with the album and listen to it and reflect on it, the more I'm realizing that it actually is a really hopeful record at the end of the day. It kind of shows this arc of this journey of everything that we went through, and in kind of the most raw and honest way possible. So that's, that's certainly a part of it. And Rock and Roll Heaven is kind of, it's celebrating music, and it's celebrating, yes, we've lost so many people way too young, and especially in music, but in all art forms, but especially in music. And I think that, Rock and Roll Heaven is kind of almost a celebratory song, in a way of going, like, you're no longer here, but the music goes on playing long after you're gone. And that's, by saying your name, by playing your records, I'm keeping you alive. And that's something that I'm keeping your legacy alive. And I think that that's something that's so important, just in general in life,